Welcome to Module 8, focusing on 21 CFR 211, Subpart I, Laboratory Controls. These regulations define how laboratory testing, documentation, and decision-making ensure that only safe, effective, and high-quality products reach patients. Today's video will begin with a brief overview of the CFR requirements. We'll then walk through key laboratory control expectations and conclude with a summary of how these controls support compliance and patient safety. Subpart I is made up of several critical subsections. These include general laboratory requirements, testing and release for distribution, stability testing, and special testing requirements. They establish the scientific and procedural foundation of quality control testing. This subpart also addresses reserve samples, the use of laboratory animals, and strict controls to prevent penicillin contamination. These ensure traceability, safety, and contamination control throughout the product lifecycle. The laboratory serves as the final checkpoint between manufacturing and the patient. Nothing is released without quality control unit approval. Compliance at this stage protects both the company and, most importantly, the patient. Laboratory operations must be built on approved, scientifically sound specifications, sampling plans, and test procedures. Any deviation must be documented, as in GMP. If it isn't written and approved, it doesn't exist. Accurate results depend on properly calibrated instruments. A written calibration program must define schedules, limits, and acceptance criteria. Instruments that fail requirements must not be used, and all calibration activities must be fully documented. Before release, laboratory testing must confirm conformance to final specifications, including identity and strength. Products that fail must be rejected or quarantined, and only compliant batches may proceed to distribution. Method validation demonstrates that laboratory methods are accurate, precise, and reliable for their intended use. Validation confirms that test results are meaningful and reproducible under actual operating conditions, providing confidence in the data. Stability testing determines appropriate storage conditions and expiration dates. Studies must use the same container closure system as the marketed product and be supported by statistically valid sampling plans. Accelerated studies help establish tentative expiration dates, while real-time studies verify them, running concurrently. Products requiring reconstitution are tested both before and after mixing for stability. Some products require heightened controls. Sterile products are tested for sterility, and ophthalmic products must be free of particles. Controlled release products must demonstrate proper active ingredient release characteristics. Reserve samples must represent each lot of drug product and active ingredient. The retained quantity must be sufficient to perform at least twice the required testing, serving as a critical reference for future investigations. Retention periods depend on product type and expiration dating. Generally, reserve samples are held for at least 1 year beyond expiration, though certain categories have modified retention requirements. Reserve samples must be visually examined at least once a year for signs of deterioration. Any abnormal findings must be documented and investigated, unless visual inspection would compromise sample integrity. When laboratory animals are used, their care and history must be carefully controlled and documented. Penicillin contamination has a zero-tolerance risk. If exposure is possible, testing is required, and any detectable level prohibits product release. Laboratory records must be complete, secure, and traceable, including raw data and calculations. Both the performer and reviewer must sign and date records, providing defensible evidence of compliance. In summary, laboratory controls form the bridge between science and patient safety. Specifications set the foundation, testing acts as the gate, and stability and reserves protect the future. Strong controls ensure compliance and patient trust.